Chainsaw Man is art. It's very bloody, grotesque, violent, and at times extremely questionable, but art nonetheless. The beauty of it is within the fact that it's able to swap from an extremely dark and grimy setting to some of the wackiest shit I've ever seen. For starters, you have the main character with a literal chainsaw on his head. I mean, it's called Chainsaw Man. Come on. And that's crazy enough until you see that he's riding a fucking shark that can swim through anything. It's able to keep up this juggling act without either side forcing out the other. It's able to joke around to separate itself from other shonen series without becoming an utter meme like Dog Ningen, but it's also not one of those shitty generic battle manhwa where people start boxing because the MC looked at someone's girl. And in a gritty, violent, nihilistic world in which people are living in constant fear, rather than opting for a character that fights because evil equals bad, or someone that fights because of their sense of justice, Fujimoto gives us a very human teenage boy. When watching a battle shonen, 90% of the time the main characters have some type of dream or goal. Take Naruto and Luffy for example, the former wanting to become Hokage and the latter wanting to become Pirate King. While people can relate to certain aspects of these characters, like Luffy's will to be free or Naruto's desire to accept people, we ultimately cannot relate to their end goal, and this goes for a lot of other main characters as well. But Chainsaw Man gives us a relatively fresh breath of air with the character of Denji. Past all of his abilities, an extremely human and relatable guy with real life problems. The series begins with Denji listing off the things he's done in order to pay off his mass amount of debt, going as far to sell his kidney, right eye and one of his balls due to the debt he inherited from his father. To pay off these debts further, he's taking up the task of killing devils with his chainsaw dog named Pochita. Off the rip, I'm a comedic genius. It's clear to see that Denji is living in utter poverty and is dehumanized in the first chapter with a Yakuza member calling him a dog, but at his core he's still a regular teenage boy, and this is made excruciatingly clear by the fact that he's talking about being too broke to go out with a girl or his inability to bring a girl over to his shack. He instantly accepts the fact that he'll have to pay off the debt for the rest of his life, and instead of having a dream of something extremely unrealistic given his situation, he instead opts to dream about hugging a girl before he dies. When Denji is on the brink of death, he asks himself if he didn't even deserve to lead a normal life. Denji was simply dealt a bad hand in life by inheriting the debt of his father, a very cruel reality that some people have no control over but still have to live with. Due to Pochita wanting to see Denji's dreams, they merge and we instantly see the tone that the art style sets for the rest of the series. It's extremely gory, gritty and perfectly captures the type of world that Chainsaw Man is set in. After killing the zombie devil, he meets Makima, who I'd say is the character with the most depth in the whole series. On the opposite side of a bloody Denji, inside of an extremely dark room, you have Makima, depicted as a ray of hope to Denji, as superficial as that sounds. She embraces Denji and with that he's able to achieve one of his dreams and the panel is flooded in with white. She tells him he's human, something that Denji likely rarely heard due to his comparisons to a dog, but then goes on to tell him that he can be her human pet, while telling him exactly what he wants to hear. Denji joins the public sector devil hunters, but his original reason of joining and carrying out devil hunting isn't due to moral obligations or because of a sense of justice, it's because that was the only other option to keep living, the only other option to have a shot at having in his normal life that he could, the only other option to realize his simple dreams. Things like having a house and a person who cares about him, resultant of what I can only imagine is childhood trauma, again, something that people can unfortunately relate to. Fujimoto does an exceptional job of having the reader empathize with Denji, because he is so human at his core. He's not depicted as a perfect being that makes it their sole goal to save people, he has his flaws, makes mistakes, and has dreams of things that though people may look down upon are realistic. After joining the Devil Hunters, he encounters many different characters and personalities, but the two main ones I want to focus on are Power and Makima. Power is an extremely interesting character, and despite having a fairly rough start in her platonic relationship with Denji, the two end up having a sibling-like relationship. She's a dumb, abrasive and childlike character, but it's because of these exact qualities she gets along exceptionally well with Denji. The interactions between these two, which include pranking each other and arguing at times which are extremely inappropriate, give us a much needed comedic aspect and a reprieve from the extremely grim setting of Chainsaw Man. Another thing I think that the series does well in is the avoidance of exposition when trying to develop the bonds between certain characters. It's more shown through the actions of these individual characters, which serve to make the relationship between these characters feel more real. And when conversations and dialogue are used to develop characters, they don't feel forced whatsoever, and they just feel real and genuine. For example, example, most of Denji's interactions with Riz in the cafe and the school. Their whole interaction feels like it's out of a slice of life series about high schoolers, and it truly reminds you that Denji is just a teenage boy with crude humour who's been thrusted into a volatile and unfortunate situation, and this conversation 100% confirms that to me. While Denji is truly believing that Riz is in love with him, he's deceived and reminded of how harsh life can truly be. Makima and Denji have an extremely one-sided relationship, with Denji doing pretty much anything for her, as well as being obviously infatuated with her, while in contrast, Maki makes it exceptionally clear that Denji is nothing more than a pet and a tool to him, her sole interest in him being because of the chainsaw devil inside of him. Using her influence as the control devil, she set up the circumstances that allowed Denji to experience love with Riz, companionship with Power and Aki, and the comfort that he had dreamed of his entire life that she promised him in the first chapter before attempting to emotionally break him. Even after the realization of her plan, Denji still remains infatuated with her regardless of what she's done, all because she was one of the first people to show him true affection. I want to talk about the significance of Makima being the control devil having a correlation with Denji's dreams. In the world of Chainsaw Man, the strength and power of a devil is proportionate to the amount of fear that the concept of it has. For example, due to guns being unanimously feared, the gun devil is extremely powerful, and in a lot of cases, but not all, the more feared something is, the more grotesque the form it takes on. The gun devil, darkness devil, and even the blood devil's true form being examples of this. The control devil is shown to be an extremely powerful entity, able to instantly kill people, as well as utilize the abilities of other devils. And because strength is proportionate to fear, it shows that a lot of people fear control. I believe there's a correlation with Denji, because as I mentioned earlier, she essentially controlled the factors to make Denji's very human dreams come true. For the most part, we as humans are relatively nearsighted when it comes to what happens after we die, and as a result, people tend to try to achieve personal goals within their lifetime, even if the methods are seen as morally bad. Some people will chase their dreams and won't care about the circumstances that led them to that point. And for a decent amount of the story, I think that Denji is representative of this idea. His life is essentially being controlled because of his desire to achieve his dreams, which is intrinsic to human nature. I do want to expand on my interpretation of Makima, potentially in another video, but I'll leave it at that for now. If you want a breath of fresh air from other shonen, something that's utterly unpredictable and a very realistic MC, then Chainsaw Man is definitely for you. Thank you for watching,